Hey guys, it's me again, the Obsidian Pixie, enjoying this freezing weather by making a new booktube video. This is my October wrap-up, and in October I did 4 readathons, technically. I did Lotteryathon, a version of Booktober. Yeah, it's Booktober. I did Pageathon, and I participated in Frightfall by Seasons of Reading. So, unfortunately, the month was busy. I did not get as much read as I wanted. I got through 10 books out of, I think, the 15 or 16 that I had on my TBR. Maybe it was only 14. I don't remember. But I did get through a couple of really big ones. But with Thanksgiving and my youngest daughter's birthday, it was just really busy and I didn't get as much read as I wanted. But here we go. This is what I read. So I read the Uns Trilogy by Mercedes Lackey, one of the later chronologically in the Valdemar series. It's about magic coming back to the kingdom of Valdemar. It's been magic has been blocked within the kingdom for centuries and centuries. But now that block is coming down, and it's about how they're dealing with the return of magic to their kingdom. I've read them before. As always, I really enjoyed them. And yeah, I highly recommend pretty much any of her stuff. Next, I read Shadow Dawn by Chris Claremont and George Lucas. This is the second in a trilogy that is kind of the sequel books to the movie Willow from the 80s. They're fascinating. This one really is getting more into the idea of the way each of the 12 domains depends on each other and what happens when the connections between those domains breaks down. Really interesting look at magic and the concepts of reality and things like that. It's absolutely fascinating. I'm looking forward to going back and reading the third one in the trilogy. I read the first one in September, the second one in October. I don't know if I'm going to get to the third one in November. I'm doing another big TBR for that, for another readathon, for Thankfulathon. But if not in October, definitely in December. I had to read a book involving transformations. I read The Accidental Vampire by Lindsay Sands. It is one of her Argino books. They are about scientifically based vampires, which I find really interesting. Just it's a completely different take on the whole subject of vampires. So yeah, they're really kind of trashy erotic romance books, but you know, they're really fun. I really enjoy them. And yeah, if that's the kind of book that you like, I definitely recommend this series. I read Percy Jackson and Percy Jackson and the Olympians, book 1, The Lightning Thief. Fairly simple book, much different than the movie, but I found the differences really interesting and mostly understandable. So yeah, it was really good. It's kind of a young reader's book, which is not usually my chosen genre, but every once in a while they're not too bad. I also read The Atomic City Girls by Janet Beard. This is a book about the people that worked in the town of Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Worked on making, not making, but purifying and don't even remember the word I'm looking for. But they worked with the uranium and the plutonium that was used to make the atomic bombs that were dropped on Japan. The interesting thing was they didn't know that that's what they were doing. They were working on something called the product. It was basically just, here, watch these gauges. If these gauges get out of alignment, then do this to get them back in. You know, that was all that they knew until, you know, kind of right before, or some of them even right after the bomb was dropped. So it's kind of interesting, the sheer volume of people that were working on the project without knowing that they were working on the project, and the way that literally a whole town was built around this one idea. I read 2 more books, and the last 2 books I read were a little bit spookier. I read Needful Things by Stephen King. This is probably one of my favorite of his books, about a store that opens up named Needful Things in the town of Castle Rock. And the owner has something for everyone. And the thing is, the price is usually more than you're really prepared to pay, but you don't realize that until it's much too late. And so yeah, this is one of my reads for this month. Nice big book. But if that's not big enough, I also read It by Stephen King. Huge book, almost 1,200 pages. Part of why I didn't get as much read as I wanted is because these two books took up probably half of the month. Again, I probably would have gotten through them faster if I wasn't so busy, but there was a lot of prep work, so I did not get through as much as I wanted. I was not as impressed by it as I expected to be honest. I know everybody raves about it. It felt a little flat to me, which, seems unusual for a lot of his work, but yeah, something about it just didn't really grab me the way that some of his other books have. I'm glad I got it. I'm glad I have read it. I haven't decided yet if I'm really interested in watching either of the movies, or I think there's 3 or 4 different versions of them now. I know the first one, the most famous probably, the one with Tim Curry. I might watch that just because Tim Curry is incredible, but I haven't decided yet. I guess we'll have to see what happens. And like I said, in November I am doing Thankful-a-thon, and I will do my TBR video for that, hopefully later this week, if not later today. So happy reading. See you soon.